Hello there, how you doing? Jeff D, AIMC, HealthSolutions.com for our Saturday morning video, as we always do here in Massachusetts, Framingham. We got the Chichishote Rail Trail behind us on this little bit of a foggy morning, humid morning here in the Metro West of Boston. So, as we do every week, health and wellness, tips and tricks for you. Always based around fitness, mindset, supplementation, and of course, diet. So I'm going to give you a personal story about me. Yes. I've always, of course I've kept the shape. I've done the trifecta, working out heavily, eating generally well, taking supplementations, have a good mindset and educate myself. But to be honest with you, my last doctor's visit, he even said to me, Jeff, you need to lose some weight. I was like, whoa, dude, I'm all muscle. But no, in reality, I was not. So what I ended up doing, I had a minor health scare, right? And when I don't want to get into it, but I was like, wow, even someone that's worked out forever and ever and thought about doing the right things always needs to adjust. So it's always like you never have the complete story. You always have to be in learning mode. So I noticed a couple things. Yes, I was eating well generally, but you know what? I love cheese. I love raisins. I was eating a lot of cheese, and I was eating deli cheese. Yuck, right? Snacking between meals. I was doing a lot of that, and that goes against what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to really snack between meals. Yeah. So, I actually reduced my protein supplement because creatine, sometimes if you take too much of it, it's like I've talked about this in the past with supplements. You should always do those in cycles. So, do it for a while, take some time off, do it a while, and then really, there's a previous video about that you should check out. So what I ended up doing is I lost 10 pounds since Memorial Day. I'm down to, I'll tell you, I'm down to about 180, 182. I was over 190 for the longest time, and I'm 5'7". So I cut out snacks, and if I did have a snack, it's always something natural, whether it's a fruit, blueberries, a peach, something that's always natural. Probably the most unnatural thing I may have sometimes is a yogurt, like a Greek yogurt with protein, right? Because you always want to have protein. But one thing I obviously I cut out deli cheese. Honestly, I will never have deli meat or cheese ever again after you know what the heck goes in that stuff. Not real, right? Old natural. You want to stay away from that. And I believe it or not, raisins, if you have too many raisins, it's not good for you. It's always moderation. You always have to have food in moderation. So I cut out those in between meals. Now, speaking of meals, I cut down the portions. Now, you ever hear the terminology eat like a European? Europeans, if you ever go out to dinner in Europe, you notice the meals, the sizes are much smaller generally than they are in the U.S. So what I ended up doing is I ended up eating small meals. Now, if I go out to dinner, my wife Heather, my beautiful wife Heather, I don't eat the full meal. I'll eat half of it. I'll eat a third of it and use the rest for leftovers in the future. Cutting down the meal size. Now, there's weight loss programs out there that say, hey, you got to skip meals and all that. Never skip meals. The whole idea is to keep your body your stomach used to food and digesting food. Just cut down the meals. So, having healthy snacks in between, smaller meals. Now, the third thing I've done differently, believe it or not, is I've started drinking green tea every single day. Sometimes I'll have 2 green teas a day. I end up having that. Sometimes I've had tea in place of coffee. And green tea is a great weight loss drink. It really helps, especially a waistline. There's something about the herbs and that allows you to really, lose. It's a great drink. It's probably the best drink for you from a weight loss perspective. And kombucha, you ever hear kombucha? Great for your digestive tract. I usually go to this networking event on Thursdays here in the Boston area, and they had free beer and wine, but they had this kombucha stuff, right? Right? I started drinking it. And let me tell you, it makes you feel good, digestive tract. So I'm giving you a lot of tips here. So, the green tea, healthy snacks, smaller meals, right? And of course, I've really reduced alcohol consumption. I never drank a lot in my life, but, just cutting out that, because what alcohol has in it? Sugar, reducing sugar. So reduce your sugar, is always a great tip too. So, I did all these things, and I've noticed my waistline has gone way down. I even am getting compliments from my parents, which I never have gotten before. Wow, Jeff, what happened to your stomach? And it's a really, it's hard to do when you're in your 50s like me to be able to lose, weight around your stomach. So I tried all that, and of course I've taken my isotonic supplements, my daily vitamin, and other supplements, which always, but like I said with supplements, you want to be able to do it in cycles. Except your daily vitamin, you should do that every day forever. With that delivery system, it's really good. So that is my personal story. So, everyone has personal stories of weight loss. I always say go au natural as possible. Stay away from the meds. Any type of medication is not good for you. I don't care what they say, doctors say, they have side effects. You don't know when you go au natural with your weight loss journey, you're going to see better results. All right. Sorry for the longer video today, but it was my personal story. Let's keep it up. If you have any questions, you want to talk about how you can lose some pounds, get in touch with me, amchealthsolutions.com. Have a good day.